A couple of weeks ago, I reviewed Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion Remastered and had a great time with it. In fact, I had so much fun that I spent the last week really wanting to go back and play the first two games, which were also recently remastered by Night Dive. And with this big revival out of the way, it made me wonder what Electronic Gaming Monthly thought of the Turok series. What was their favorite installment? Now, in case you're curious, EGM reviewed a total of 8 Turok games between 1997 and 2008. This includes the Nintendo 64 trilogy, the various reboots, and even one of the portable entries. Unfortunately, they did not review all of the handheld games, but based on the one they did review, maybe that's for the best. What we're going to do today is count down the best and worst Turok games using Electronic Gaming Monthly's own words and scores. There's no editorializing here, we're just going to focus on what the critics said back when these games first came out. So go and sharpen your arrows and get ready to hunt down some dinosaurs, because this is what happens when Electronic Gaming Monthly ranks the Turok series.
Join the battle and fight with Turok Dinosaur Hunter! Ride mighty tribal dinosaurs, the ultimate battle beasts, against evil bionosaurs! In savage, headbutting, T-Rex jaw-snapping, raptor-ripping, Turok action! Kicking big-time bionosaur butt as the war rages on! Turok Dinosaur Hunter! Action figures from Playmates!
Up first, at number 8, we have Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion on the Game Boy Color. I've said this time and time again in the past, but 9 times out of 10, the Game Boy Color version of a big console game is gonna suck. Such is the case with Turok 3. Granted, it looks nice, but it's just not that fun to play. Each of the game's 5 levels are broken up into 2 gameplay types. One is a 3/4 overhead perspective vehicle-based jaunt, where Turok gets to show off his driving skills in a tank, jeep, and powerboat. The other is a side-scrolling kill the enemy and find a key sort of thing. The vehicle stuff can be entertaining, but the side-scrolling areas are ridiculous. On various levels, you'll be confronted by enemies who just keep coming and coming no matter what you do. The whole process is wildly tedious and repetitive. There's no good reason to buy this game, so don't! Number 7, Turok Evolution on the PlayStation 2. Despite its promise of evolution, in most ways Turok is a giant leap backwards. Blocky characters, objects that suddenly pop into view, choppy movement, and a 2-player limit for the split-screen multiplayer, complete with lag. That's right, offline lag! A few sections get creative, the Panzer Dragoon-style flying sequences and stealth level may be rough around the edges, but they're a welcome break from the otherwise unpolished hodgepodge of first-person shooter cliches, right down to the power-up filled crates and exploding barrels. No wonder no reviewable copies were sent out for this Turok release. This game was obvious and painfully rushed out the door. Number 6, Turok Evolution on the Xbox. Turok's comeback bid shines brightest on the Xbox, but it's nothing special. It suffers from the same design weaknesses as its PlayStation 2 counterpart, including a laughable plot, poor level designs, wimpy sound effects, and fluctuating difficulty. While the game offers cool weapons and environments, the overall package is lackluster. Visually, Turok can't compete with the likes of Halo, although it's smoother and sharper than its PlayStation 2 cousin. Even so, graphical issues still rear their ugly heads here. The single-player game drags on through 15 hit-or-miss levels, including 4 flying stages. And unlike the PlayStation 2 version, the multiplayer mode here is faster, plays better, and supports up to 4-player split screen. Sadly, Turok Evolution is no better than average. Number 5, Turok Rage Wars on the Nintendo 64. Ugh, what went wrong here? This was supposed to be the definitive multiplayer shooter on the consoles, but instead it's just barely adequate. The multiplayer modes, of which there aren't enough, rely too much on the stuff that you open up in the single player game, which is painfully repetitive, even when you play with a friend. Still, there's no denying this game delivers plenty of 4-player thrills. And with Perfect Dark delayed, what else are you gonna play? Number 4, Turok on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Turok has a bad case of the shakes. Shoot a gun and the screen shakes. Get hit and the screen shakes. Dry your bow for too long and the screen shakes. Immersive, maybe? Annoying? Yep. If I'm siding on a bad guy and every time I shoot or get shot it shakes, well, I get a little frustrated. Surprisingly though, this issue doesn't damage Turok Beyond Redemption. This is largely due to the interesting story, solid writing, and fantastic voice work, which all moves the game along to a satisfying climactic ending. My biggest gripe with Turok? The game handles stealth with absurd clumsiness. Sometimes enemies see you, sometimes they don't, and I can't find an obvious reason why. These issues guarantee that Turok isn't going to win any awards, especially considering 2007's stellar first-person shooters. But the unusual premise, solid writing, and varied play make it worth a look. Number 3, Turok Dinosaur Hunter on the Nintendo 64. First-person shooters are way too commonplace today. Turok is just another one in the masses. The only thing that makes it stand out are the weapons, the enemies, and the levels. The weapon effects are awesome, and we set a new standard for this type of game. The enemies are well-animated polygons, a refreshing change from the sprites that we're used to in a Doom game. The levels are wide-open outdoor areas as opposed to tunnels and hallways. But in the end, these fluffy features don't help Turok stay afloat. It's still a boring shooter at its heart. How many Doom games can a gamer take before they're fed up? Number 2, Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion on the Nintendo 64. This is a nice surprise. After Rage Wars, I wasn't expecting big things out of Turok 3, but big things are exactly what it delivers. The 2 characters to play as, the best high-res graphics on the Nintendo 64, a smooth frame rate, cool weapons, a slick storyline, and an almost Half-Life-like pace. The levels are short and to the point, while a generous save system has been added as well. The multiplayer moves at a smoother frame rate than Perfect Dark, and revamped versions of the Lost World levels from the first game are even included. A sure sign that the former Iguana loves its fans. Not as deep as Perfect Dark, but almost as much fun. And finally, at number 1, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil on the Nintendo 64. This may seem like an odd complaint, but I'm actually annoyed that Turok 2's levels are so damn big. If you could save anywhere, I'd be happy, but the limited amount of save points coupled with the fact that it's really easy to get lost in the game's huge levels really irks me. Still, the game's atmosphere and graphics kick ass, despite some slowdown, and the 4-player modes are fantastic. I'd buy it for the multiplayer stuff alone.
"極限まで追い詰められる快感をお楽しみください」64ソフトバイオレンスキラー。まだまだ
Hey, thanks for watching me break down these classic reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we have a full playlist full of dozens of episodes just like this one. I'm talking Mario, Sonic, Final Fantasy, Batman, Resident Evil, Castlevania, Ridge Racer, Burnout, Silent Hill, and so many more. Give it a binge. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite Turok game? And is it time to bring Turok back? It's been 15 years. Maybe now that these remastered games are out, there'll be renewed interest. Let me see your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, this is Christmas week, and you know what that means. A lot more rhyming than usual. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.